The Pelosi home invasion situation is still very, very odd. It is perfectly okay to ask questions to make sure everything's okay here. This is America. And just because the government said something happened, well, we'll see about that, right? There's going to be a trial. It's amazing, the left and their power grab right now and trying to shut down conservatives once again for just asking questions, right? Asking questions is tantamount to January 6th and all of that nonsense. And I want to revisit this issue. A request for privacy at this time. Nancy Pelosi requested privacy last Friday. The speaker and her family are grateful, blah, 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 and request privacy at this time. No, I will not abide by that. And quite frankly, it's very odd that she's seeking that at this time. You request privacy. You know, Tom Brady and Giselle, they want privacy. They're going through a divorce. I get that. They got kids involved. When's the last time you heard a crime victim ask for privacy? No, they ask for justice. They ask for answers. Also this, on Friday, she said that he's expected to make a full recovery. See that? He is expected at the end there to make a full recovery. Now, to me, that was code for he's going to be okay. And now it turns out that he actually had brain surgery, the skull, all this stuff. For an 82-year-old man, that can be touch and go. By the way, where is he? How is he being treated? Who are his doctors? Why don't we know that? You know, ordinarily, when somebody who's famous or even not so famous involved in a big situation, the doctors come out and brief everybody. Who remembers Otto Warmbier? He was an American citizen who, as a student, went to North Korea. And when he came back, he had massive health problems. They wanted to save his life. They were doing everything they could. Wasn't household name famous. He wasn't married to anybody. But the doctors kept the public informed.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Kristen Weavers, and I serve as the Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing and Communications Officer at UC Health here in Cincinnati, Ohio. We are here at the request of the Warmbier family to provide an update on Otto's medical condition and the care he is currently receiving at UC Health's University of Cincinnati Medical Center.
You see, that's the way it normally works. It often works this way, except for the Pelosis. They have a penchant for privacy, especially when Paul gets in the middle of things like he did earlier this year. Remember the drunk driving situation? They requested privacy at that time as well. He was arrested. I don't think we ever got the full lowdown and who was in the car with him and all that stuff, but it wasn't that big a deal, I guess. It happens to people. But Nancy Pelosi is a very important person. She is second in line to the presidency. First in line is Kamala Harris, then it's her. People want to know. That's okay. And what we've gotten so far from the district attorney and the chief of police, as we detailed last night, was completely inadequate, at times misleading, and it led reasonable people like us to wonder what is going on here. So we went through that, and now I've gone through the affidavit. I took a look at it yesterday. I saw a couple of things, and now we're going to go into a bit more detail. First, the affidavit was written by an FBI agent, and that FBI agent has been, let's see, I am a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and have been an FBI special agent since 2019. That seems rather green to me, all right? Look, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that this is interesting, don't you? And it's okay to talk about. This is still America. Now, this FBI agent, again, the one who wrote essentially the charging document, the affidavit, she specializes in domestic terrorism. You know, if you really look around, we don't have all that much domestic terrorism. Again, this is code for me that she hassles people who might have been there on January 6th, including people who did not break anything or hurt anyone. There are a lot of folks like that who have been hassled by the federal government. The other thing about this affidavit, all kinds of weird inconsistencies and spelling and grammatical issues like this one. Put it up, there's a lot there, if you don't mind. I am authorized to investigate violations of United States law and am a law enforcement officer. This is a direct quote. You see that? And am a law enforcement officer. That doesn't read well. I don't think it's correct. This is odd. Sorry, it is. And it took them all weekend to work on this thing. Next, as far as DePape and Pelosi stated words to the effect of, there is a male in the home and that the male is going to wait for Pelosi's wife. Next, it reads, Pelosi further conveyed that he does not know who the male is. The male said his name is David. Okay, but they're leaving something out, aren't they? The part about David being a friend. I got that from the police department. They didn't release it, but we got it anyway.
RP stated that there's a male in the home and that he's going to wait for his wife. RP stated that he doesn't know who the male is, but he advised that his name is David and that he is a friend. RP sounded somewhat confused.
Okay, the friend part. Look, I guess if you're a prosecutor and you want to make your case, you don't have to, and you don't have to include all the facts, but this is a big one. And as you know from watching Newsmax, the media have been ignoring this part of the story. All right, also, who let him in the house? No one is doing anything to clarify this, all right? Put up the next full screen if you don't mind regarding the door. It's a big one. Let's go ahead and put it up. Sorry, we've got to read through all of this, but at 2:30 in the morning, Officer Colby Wilms responded to the Pelosi residence, California, and knocked on the front door. When the door was open, Pelosi and DePape were both holding a hammer with one hand, and DePape had his other on Pelosi's forearm. Now, a couple of things here. By the way, California, they wrote it that way, not us. Note that the door was open. They're not indicating who opened the door. That's strange. Who did they say the other night?
When the officers arrived and knocked on the front door of the residence this morning, the door was opened by someone inside.
Someone inside. And look, it's the biggest case in the world. The O.J. Simpson case, they actually had new television shows spawned examining every little detail. This is important. It's worth examination. And do me a favor, put that last paragraph up. Notice, Officer Colby Wilms responded to the Pelosi residence. That'll be important in a moment. All right, so the cops get there. Colby Wilms gets there, knocks on the door, and what happens next? According to the affidavit, Pelosi greeted the officers. Good evening and welcome to my home. What seems to be the problem? What did he say? What I would have said in those circumstances, help! There's a man, he's crazy, shoot him, stop him. I would have ran out of the house. No, he greeted the officers. What seems to be the problem? Next, more talk. The officers asked them what was going on, and the officers, next please, said officers then asked Pelosi and DePape to drop the hammer. Officers, officers, officers. Now, it is interesting. It's an inconsistency because we were told a moment ago that it was one officer who replied, right? And now I'm hearing about officers, 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 multiple. These are the kinds of things that I think, well, this is sloppy. Shouldn't be written like this, and certainly not by a 3-year veteran of the FBI. Next, Pelosi is, the Pelosi residence, California. That's a mistake. That's weird. It shouldn't be written like that. Can we skip down to Pelosi unconscious? While officers were restraining DePape, Pelosi appeared to be unconscious on the ground. Okay, remember that because that's kind of significant. And then next, we learn that he's in the hospital alert. Pelosi was interviewed by the San Francisco Police Department, the officer there in the ambulance during the transport to San Francisco General Hospital. Okay, he was just out cold. They don't say when he becomes alert, how he becomes alert, and how alert is he if he was just, unconscious on the ground. The only quotation marks they use from that interview are around one word, Nancy. And they're saying that the intruder was saying, where's Nancy, where's Nancy? Is it possible that Paul Pelosi was saying, where's Nancy? I mean, he's got birds flying around his head. He was just knocked in the head with a hammer, they tell me. All right, we know that interview happened in the ambulance. They interviewed DePape, all right? They interviewed the suspect. Curious thing about this, where did they interview DePape? Some mentioned. In a Mirandized recorded interview, DePape, right? Where? They went to the trouble of telling us Paul Pelosi interviewed in the... I think this is significant, and of course, the whole issue about breaking into the house. How did he do it? Breaking glass. DePape stated that he broke into the house through a glass door, which was a difficult task that required the use of a hammer. Well, it wasn't that difficult. It's easy to break glass with a hammer, especially if there's no burglar alarm. All right, this is one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in all of San Francisco, okay? And there's no burglar alarm. That makes no sense. And this is the home of the person who is second in line to the presidency. People in the neighborhood, actually, they had their home systems affected by all the security that was happening at the Pelosi house. Look at this. We had a computer. This is from a neighbor. We had a computer in our kitchen that just didn't work on the internet very well. And I was told that because of the level of monitoring equipment at that residence, there was monitoring equipment to make sure that residents couldn't be spied on remotely from any place in the neighborhood, which involves something that interfered with our computer. That's how intense the security was around Nancy's house. Yet this guy got in with a hammer. Also, the way he's talking to the authorities. Oh boy, do they want to make him sound like a MAGA extremist? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. DePape explained that he did not leave after Pelosi's call to 911 because, much like the American founding fathers with the British, he was fighting against tyranny without the option of surrender. Wow. Now remember, this individual, DePape, he was born and raised in Canada. He's talking about our founding fathers and tyranny. Being that he's a nudist and a big BLM guy and all this other stuff, I don't see the tie-in. It's fine to be a nudist, but he was a nudist in downtown San Francisco performing nude weddings. Founding fathers, a fight against tyranny, it just doesn't seem to fit, does it? Well, look, it's all circumstantial. Hey, actually, DePape said, did he solve the mystery as to who opened the door? DePape stated that they went downstairs to the front door. The police arrived and knocked on the door, and Pelosi ran over and opened it. That's according to DePape. Okay, he took one arm off the hammer and opened the door, or he temporarily let go of the hammer, opened the door, and went back to holding the hammer. He opened the door and didn't run? Didn't run for his life? No, he resumed the previous whatever was happening with DePape. I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe it will all be proven true. But I saw this also in the affidavit. All the sloppiness we've noticed. Sworn to before me over the telephone? They phoned this in. The FBI phoned this in to a judge on the telephone. Is this some COVID thing? I thought they had to go before is this how it's done? Maybe this is how it's done. It seems odd. You ever hear that thing? They phoned it in. They literally phoned it in. And it's sloppy and weird. And it's okay to say that. And that may be news to CNN because I guess if the government says it, it must be true. Just ask CNN.
I think we need to stop calling them conspiracy theories. These are lies. These are just things that people have made up and are spreading. But that 911 audio may be critical to stopping some of it.
Yeah, it should stop it. But it won't. It won't stop the lies, right? And part of that we see is because some of the folks who are trafficking in this also have their suspicions about the FBI. And here we are talking about claims that are very clearly spelled out in a federal affidavit.
Wow, it's in the affidavit, therefore it must be true. By the way, I'm pointing out inconsistencies and strange stuff that exists. The whole world can take a look at it. I don't have a theory as to what really went down that I'm prepared to announce. But this is okay. It's just amazing to me. You know, O.J. Simpson, when O.J. Simpson was going through all that, you know what the reporters were doing? They were bending over backwards to say it was just allegations at this point. We don't know. We can't be sure. I mean, we all knew, but we had to say otherwise. Where the hell what have we become? We're not going to doubt the government. We're just going to take their... This happened very, very rapidly. Some cases over the last few years, the media, they had to, I think, say it was an allegation. This DePape guy may one day have a big lawsuit on his hands against the media. Take a look.
Here are the new Cosby developments. Cosby's next shows at a venue right outside of New York City have now been canceled, and he's facing even more new allegations.
The charges are in connection with at least 2 instances in which Weinstein allegedly sexually assaulted women back in 2013.
This comes as a new accusation surfaced that Kelly allegedly had sex with a teenage girl in Detroit nearly 2 decades ago.
You see, even that guy, allegedly, these are just allegations. You got to prove them in court first. But for CNN, no, you don't. You just have to say it. This woman with the glasses is going to believe it and is going to scold anybody who raises questions about it. You know, this is America, and we're still allowed to dissent. And here's the dangerous part. This kind of nonsense, it encourages Democrats all over the place and Kinzinger and Republicans like him to grab power and try to shut us down. This is really happening, and we have to be vigilant and on guard and not let them. Take a look.
I think I made it clear over the last couple of days that one thing that we wanted to emphasize is that this was a targeted attack. This was not a random residential burglary. He specifically sought out their home. He sought out the speaker, and in turn, when he could not locate her at her home, turned his violence towards her husband.
When you hear that, Congressman, what's your reaction?
Well, we are in an era where disinformation and misinformation and people just rejecting outright verifiable facts is actually becoming common in our political discourse right now. And here's why it's happening. It's happening because in this case, you have the Republican Party that's allowing it to happen.
Well, Congressman Nobody there, Democrat Congressman Nobody, says this is all the fault of the Republicans. And they are going to make an attempt, once again, to control speech. We can't let this work. We can't. We have to stand up. And we can't be shamed. We can't be intimidated. That's what they're trying to do.
If you look at the statistics, right-wing violence is disproportionately higher than left-wing violence. I'm not excusing any violence, but the numbers don't lie.
CNN lies all the time. And you can shape numbers to say just about whatever you want. Right-wing terrorism is greater than left-wing. No, that's not true. And I don't care what some politically motivated analyst at the Department of Homeland Security said. We all saw it in 2020, what happened, how this was not only tolerated, but glorified. Glorified! They didn't call these people terrorists. They were what? Freedom fighters, social justice, racial justice warriors. You heard it all. And oh, by the way, we have to take a quick step back as everybody pretends that we're on the edge of losing our society, which in some ways we are. But America has seen worse. I mean, in the 60s, in the 70s, and assassinations. Do you realize at one point in America, within the last 50 years, they were hijacking an airplane on average of twice a month? It was absolutely crazy. And we got through it. Then again, I think we should speak responsibly. And there are some people out there who have gone too far. We have to acknowledge it. And we have to talk to them. Maybe we have to do more than that. Maybe we have to prosecute them if they cross the line. I think we have to be very careful about what this person says.
I said I would have punched him out, I would have gone to jail, and I would have been happy to do so.
Would you have done it?
For our country. He wouldn't have had the courage to come to the Hill. He's all talk.
Putin appears to be President Trump's puppeteer. The president doesn't believe in governance, so he doesn't care if governance doesn't take place. It is a matter of fact that the president is an ongoing threat to our national security and the integrity of our elections, the basis of our democracy.
Wow. She said that like in 2018 or so. An ongoing threat to our national security. I could easily imagine some crazy person somewhere hearing that and say, I must stop Donald Trump because Nancy Pelosi told me. What a threat, right? That could happen. I still think Nancy should be able to say whatever the hell she wants, even though I don't like it. I'm not going to play that game. Don't play it with us.